Hey now, Steve Stevens for Bionic Buzz. We're here at Art's Radio Dream Launch 10th anniversary here at Steve Resnik's Rock and Roll Mansion. The event features many icons in the radio and record industry, so let's go see who we can talk to. So David, here at Bionic Buzz, we're all about people's passion. Where did your passion for radio come from? You were listening to a certain performance, or was it just naturally for you as a kid?
Well, I grew up listening to radio, so I just followed my something that I just really loved. Two things that I loved as a kid: radio and top 40 music, and game shows. And in a career that's been over 40 years in commercial broadcasting, I've been able to do both.
Yeah.
I started in college radio at KCSN at Cal State Northridge back in the early 70s. And from there I went over to KISS FM in 1979, January 79.
Wow.
I was there a little more than 3 years during the disco era, and then this slow evolving into top 40.
It's hard to hear KISS FM and think disco, because they play all the bucks up there.
It was disco in the late 70s.
That's amazing.
Then became dance music, then became more of a top 40 station.
Yeah.
And in 1982, I went over to KRLA Radio, which was still one of the most popular oldies stations. And I was there for 12 years. I got to work with disc jockeys like Johnny Hayes,
Wow.
Dave Hull, Emperor Bob Hudson, Art LeBeau, Huggy Boy, Wolfman Jack, The Real Don Steele,
Dang.
Jimmy O'Neill, all the big names that I grew up listening to in the 60s and early 70s, I then got to work with.
Very nice.
And then in 1994, a new cable network was formed called Game Show Network, and I was invited to join be one of the original staff over there. So I joined them in 1994.
Which game shows did you do?
Well, we broadcast classic game shows and new game shows. We've got classic shows like the $25,000 Pyramid, Match Game, What's My Line. Plus we have new game shows like America Says and Common Knowledge and The Chase. So always doing new shows, creating new shows, broadcasting some of the old classics. And along the way, I also wrote a book on game shows.
Oh, really?
In 1978, or was it 1988? Well, I think it was late 80s. I did a book called The Encyclopedia of TV Game Shows with two partners, the late Fred Wasbrook and Steve Ryan. And we documented every game show that had been on TV up to that time, going back to the 1940s, with pictures, detailed information as to who was on the show, what the show was about, lots of trivia.
How long did it take you to write that book?
I think I started researching it in college.
Wow.
And then finally I was able to put it together with the help of Steve and Fred, especially with Fred's photos.
Have you seen the books on Amazon now, so people are watching them?
People can buy it on Amazon or eBay. You can still pick up the copies on eBay. Pretty cheap too. But we did 3 editions of the book. The last one came out in 1998. And we also, along the way, I co-produced a CD of game show themes.
Oh, yeah. You play at home, right?
Well, Jim Pearson and I were able to find a lot of the original copies of the theme music to shows like Match Game and Password and the old College Bowl theme, stuff that people had bootleg copies of. We went out, found and licensed the original masters, and Saraband Records and Kerry Mansfield put out 2 CDs of these game show themes. And they're still available to this day. So you can actually go out and play all these theme songs. And what was great is that the original composers are now getting recognition and the royalties that they deserve.
Yeah. Very nice.
So,
Cool. Have you been to Radio Dream Lunch before?
have I what?
Have you been here to the Radio Dream Lunch here before?
Not in a long time. I've known Steve Resnik since my days in college.
Oh, okay.
He was doing promotion for ABC Dunhill Records.
Nice.
So that goes back a long time.
Yeah. I always love coming here at his place.
Yeah. I used to come in and I helped bring Steve different things for his collection over the years.
Very cool. What
So-
have you brought over the years?
Well, today I brought him a calendar that Ralph's Markets put out last year, a Jewish calendar spotlighting Jewish rock and roll stars.
Oh, really? That's cool.
So that was the one thing I added today.
Very nice.
And I can't remember some of the other stuff I brought him over the years, just stuff that I've collected.
Very cool. Well, David, thank you so much for sharing your history with us. It's very fascinating. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.